I used to work the front desk at a hotel in Amsterdam, and one afternoon an American couple marched up to me looking furious. The wife slammed their keycard on the counter so hard it bounced. "We need another room," she said. "This one is broken." I asked what the issue was. The husband held up a phone charger like it was evidence in a crime scene. "Nothing turns on. We've been here 2 hours and can't charge anything. Your outlets don't work." I looked at the charger, then at them. "Did you bring an adapter for European plugs?" They stared at me like I had suddenly switched languages. I repeated myself. The husband blinked. What? A plug adapter? Dutch outlets aren't the same as American ones." The woman's face flushed red. "Well, nobody told us." I stepped aside and pointed at the big sign on the wall behind me that literally said, "Plug adapters available at reception," in giant English letters. She glanced at it, then at me again. "Okay, but that should have been in our confirmation email." They bought 2 adapters and left. My coworker walked over and whispered, "Do they really think every country has the same plugs as them?" I had no explanation. And that wasn't even the strangest American interaction that week. 2 days later, a different guy wanted to pay for his restaurant bill with US dollars. "We only take euros," I told him. "But the exchange rate is like 1-to-1, right?" he asked. I shook my head. "It's about €1 to $1.10. He pulled out his phone, Googled something, and proudly held up a chart from 2002. "See? They're basically even." "That's 22 years old," I said. He shrugged. "You should still take dollars. Everybody uses dollars." A German woman overheard us and cut in, "Why would Europe accept your money?" He blinked. "Because it's easier." She just walked away. Later, a woman asked where she could buy a real map. I sent her to a bookstore. She came back annoyed. "The map is in kilometers. Do you have one in miles?" I told her the entire country uses the metric system. She sighed, exasperated. "How am I supposed to know how far anything is?" "You could learn what a kilometer is," I suggested. She did not appreciate that. My friend in Brussels had it even worse. He told me about an American man who bought a ticket to Paris. 20 minutes into the ride, the guy panicked and ran to a conductor. "We haven't stopped anywhere. Is this an express train?" The conductor looked at his ticket. "Yes, sir, it's a direct train to Paris." The man looked horrified. "But I wanted to see Belgium." "You are in Belgium," the conductor said. "Brussels is in Belgium." "No, I mean farms, windmills." "Those are mostly in the Netherlands," the conductor said. The man got off at the next stop, bought a ticket back to Brussels, and ended up spending €80 to ride a train in a circle. Another tourist asked my friend whether the bathrooms on the train were free. "Yes," he said. "But how do you pay for the water?" He didn't understand. "Not even a quarter?" she insisted. He realized she thought European bathrooms worked like coin-operated rest-stop toilets. He told her the ones on the train don't cost anything. "So, it's socialism?" she asked. He just said sure, and walked away. I had my own train story while traveling from Berlin to Munich. I sat in the quiet car, where silence is the rule, when an American dad boarded loudly talking on his phone. Everyone glared. He ignored them. A German woman finally tapped him on the shoulder and pointed to the sign. He cupped his hand over the phone and said, "I'm on an important call." "This is the quiet car," she replied. "I'll only be a few minutes." She pointed at the door. He sighed dramatically and left. His wife stayed with their kids and said to the woman, "He's a lawyer." It was important. The woman put on her headphones. The wife looked around as if we were the problem. Later they missed their stop because their ticket said München Hauptbahnhof, and they were waiting for the announcement to say Munich. The husband complained, "Why don't they just say it in English?" The conductor replied, "Because this is Germany. My cousin works at a car rental office in Rome." An American family returned a van after just 6 hours, absolutely furious. "Your vehicle doesn't fit on the roads," the dad yelled. The van was completely normal. My cousin asked what happened. "The streets are too narrow. We couldn't drive anywhere." He asked where they'd been. We tried to drive to the Colosseum. My cousin explained that you can't drive to the Colosseum, you park outside the historic center and walk. The dad looked betrayed. Nobody told us that. It's in the rental information, my cousin said. And on the signs. We don't read Italian, the mum said. The signs have pictures, he replied. They demanded their money back. They did not get it. A friend at Heathrow Airport told me Americans constantly argue about passport lines. They try to enter the EU-only queue. We're allies, one man insisted. Not for border control, my friend said. Another woman asked if she needed her passport to go to Scotland. Yes, he said. But it's the same country. Not if you're entering from outside the UK. Oh, what if I say I'm visiting family? You still need a passport. I worked as a server in Paris for 2 years. One couple asked for water, so I brought a bottled one. The standard here when someone says just water. We meant tap water, the man complained. You can ask for a carafe d'eau, I said. In America, water is free, he snapped. Tap water is free here too, I reminded him. They decided I was scamming them. They also complained their food was taking too long. It had been 15 minutes. In France, dinner is an experience. They bolted out in 20 minutes flat. Another woman asked if we had ranch dressing. We did not. Her confusion was heartbreaking. My buddy in Barcelona had even wilder stories. One American man sent back his paella because it had seafood. That's what paella is, my friend explained. Not where I'm from, the man replied. A different woman asked if chorizo was spicy. He said, a little. She assumed he meant Taco Bell spicy. She ended up ordering plain pasta. Another family arrived at 4 p.m. wanting dinner. He told them the kitchen opened at 8. They looked personally offended and walked out with McDonald's bags later. A friend in Munich said Americans always ordered a beer. She'd ask which one, they had 10. They'd panic and ask, which is closest to Bud Light? One man even asked for ice in his beer. She brought him some. A nearby old man stood up and left in horror. When I studied in Portugal, an American girl once asked me if Portuguese and Spanish were basically the same. Another asked if Portugal was in South America because you speak Brazilian. A Polish classmate was asked if Poland was part of Russia. When she said no, the American said, same thing. A group planned a trip to Amsterdam and an American guy complained that driving from there to Paris would take 5 whole hours. My friend said you can cross several countries in that time. He looked shocked. In Texas, you can drive 5 hours and still be in Texas. Everyone stared at him. That sounds awful, someone finally said. While working at a hostel in Lisbon, an American man asked how far the beach was. 3 kilometers, I said. How many miles is that? I said 2. He sighed loudly. The metric system is impossible. He came back angry because he walked the wrong way and blamed the GPS. Another guest panicked because it was 25 to the power of circ C. She thought it meant 25 to the power of circ F. I explained Celsius. She said the entire world should just use the same system. We do, I said. Except America. When she realized Europeans write dates as day, month, year, she nearly short-circuited. An Australian guest jumped into the conversation and said America's system was pure chaos. One guest asked if 1.5 meters was deep enough to dive. I told him absolutely not. He still went to inspect the pool himself. And finally, my favorite. An American couple in Amsterdam complained that the city was false advertising because everything is in Dutch. They expected the entire capital of the Netherlands to cater to English speakers. Their online review said, beautiful city, but not foreigner-friendly. Too much Dutch. My manager laughed for 5 minutes. And that's the thing. Every week, someone new shows up confused about plugs, currency, train etiquette, kilometers, or why other countries stubbornly keep using their own languages. People try explaining, this country does things differently. And the response is always, well, our way makes more sense. It's exhausting, but also a little hilarious. Because the rest of the world adapts when they travel. They learn, adjust, explore. But there's always that one person standing in a foreign country demanding the world rearrange itself around them. And they never see anything wrong with it. You'd think by now, after all these stories, I'd have seen it all. But no. It keeps happening. One day, an American guest came up to me at the hotel in Amsterdam. She looked around, confused, and asked, "Where's the subway? How do we get anywhere?" I smiled and said, "The trams are right outside. They go everywhere." She frowned. "Trams? What about buses? Taxis? Ubers?" "All of the above," I said. "Trams are just the fastest." She shook her head. "We don't know how to ride trams. We need someone to drive us everywhere." I tried to explain that Europeans usually get around on their own, using public transport. She looked like I'd just told her gravity doesn't exist. And it's not just transportation. Food is a recurring problem. Another American couple came in and asked if we had a hamburger place nearby. I told them yes, there's a small diner down the street. "Oh good, we need something familiar," they said. When they came back, they were outraged. "We asked for burgers. All they have are weird-looking sandwiches." I pointed out that yes, those were hamburgers, European style. "But where's the cheese? And ketchup?" Sometimes, I just had to nod and smile. Because no matter how much you explain, some people just expect the world to adjust to them. Here's a personal favorite. I was walking down a street in Lisbon when an American family asked me where they could find a normal coffee. I blinked. "You mean espresso?" "Yes. That's what I mean," the mum said. I explained how coffee is usually served small and strong in Portugal. She looked horrified. "We need a big cup of regular coffee, like back home. Can we get that?" I nodded politely and pointed them to a cafe that served larger coffees. When they came back, they were still complaining. "This coffee is too small," they said. "We need at least twice the size." Don't they know we need caffeine? It's amazing, really, how small differences between countries can seem enormous if you're not expecting them. And it's not just food or transportation. Measurement systems are another minefield. I had an American guest in Berlin ask if he could get a normal-sized swimming pool. I asked what he meant. "Like, in feet," he said. I told him the pool is 1.5 meters deep. He calculated in his head, then came back and said, "That's only 5 feet. That's nothing. Can we dive?" "No diving," I said. He stared at the pool, then at me. "Really?" "Yes," I said, smiling. "It's shallow." He nodded slowly, as if the universe had betrayed him. And of course, language issues never end. One American woman in Paris asked why the streets weren't in English. I told her that yes, Paris is in France. Streets have French names. "But we don't speak French," she exclaimed. I smiled. "Most people understand basic English here. You'll be fine." She wasn't satisfied. "Why isn't everything in English? Even the signs?" It was exhausting, but at the same time, kind of funny. Because no matter how different the world seems, these stories remind us of one thing. Travel isn't about bending the world to your expectations. It's about learning, adapting, and sometimes just laughing at how stubborn humans can be. Every week, there's a new story. A new guest confused by something that seems obvious to everyone else. And every week, the pattern repeats. A small cultural difference becomes a mountain. A simple explanation turns into an argument. And someone, somewhere, leaves thinking the world should revolve around them. But here's the thing, the rest of us get it. We figure it out. We adapt. We learn a few words, we convert kilometers to miles, we try a new food. And that's why these stories are endlessly entertaining. Because somewhere, in a hotel lobby or on a train or at a cafe, there's always someone who refuses to see the world as it is and insists it should be exactly like home. And honestly, that's what makes travel so fascinating.